Okay, so today we took some notes on the angles of depression and elevation. So it has to do with the perspective of the angle that you're talking about. So if you were talking about a perspective of an angle, so if we were looking at it, it's like an eye level perspective. So if I'm looking straight ahead, that's the horizontal line. But if I want to see what the angle of view would be from my eyes to the dog, I'm going to go down, right? But if I want to see what my eyes to the airplane, I'm going to go up. So this is a really good visual of that. So go ahead and get that in your notes. Go ahead and hit pause. I'm going to move on. Hit pause and get this in your notes. Okay, so we are going to do some work with this. So it says be careful when interpreting. It says the same thing. Okay, so when you're solving a triangle problem, the best thing to do is to draw a sketch with it. We've been doing that with some givens. We do the same thing with word problems. Okay, then you're going to use the sketch to help you solve it, and then you solve it. So this is a really good example of progressing. So remember, progressing in this unit, there are word problems, but I'm going to give you a picture. Meaning, I'm not going to give you the picture. Something we want to talk about here is what to round to. You guys always ask me, how do I know if you don't tell me? This is how you know. This says that when Shelly stands 123 feet from the base of the flagpole, the angle of elevation, so she's looking up to the top of the flagpole, is 26 degrees. If her eyes are at 5.30 feet above the ground, we need to find the height of the flagpole. Okay. So this is rounded to the nearest whole. This is the nearest, or this is a whole number. This is a whole number, but this is rounded to the hundredths place, 2 decimal places. So since it's going to 2 decimal places, you also need to go to 2 decimal places. Okay, so now we got to figure out what we're going to use to solve. So just like when we're looking for anything else, we are looking at this angle. So we are given this length right here, the 123 feet, but we're only looking for this part. We know this part, but we don't know this part. So this side length would be the opposite side, and then we're given the adjacent side to this angle. So everything has to do with the perspective of the angle. So if we have opposite and adjacent, I'm going to use tangent to help me solve, because SOHCAHTOA. So that's something that we're going to want to write on our paper every time. All right, so we've got SOHCAHTOA to help us remember the ratios that go with each trig function. So sine, cosine, and tangent. Remember, those are the only 3 we use when we're solving. Okay, so if those are the only 3 we use, we already said it was opposite over adjacent. So, or adjacent over, opposite over adjacent. So those are the 2 we're going to do. So we have the tangent. So the tangent of 26 degrees is going to be equal to A over 123. We're going to multiply both sides by 123, and we're going to get that A is equal to about 59.99 feet. Now, that's not the question, right? We want to find the height of the flagpole. Well, we have to add, so if this is 59.99, we have this 5.30, we need to add that, so we end up with that the flagpole is going to be 65.29 feet. So go ahead and hit pause, make sure you get this in your notes. Okay, here is another question. So we have the length of a shadow of a building is 36.62 meters, the building is 34.09 meters. We need to find the angle of elevation of the sun. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is remember SOHCAHTOA. So we've got our SOHCAHTOA. We are given 2 side lengths and no angles, which means we are, and it even says find the angle. So we are solving for an angle. So remember, when we are solving for an angle, we got to figure out what are the side lengths given, and then what do we want to use, and we just use the inverse of it. So we'll have the side lengths, but we're looking for the angle. So it says the elevation of the sun, which would be this angle right here, B. It's even labeled for us, so it's kind of a good indication. So I've got the adjacent side, I've got the opposite side, but no hypotenuse. So since there's no hypotenuse, if you guys remember the song, no hypotenuse, that must be tangent. So we are going to use the tangent. So the tangent of angle B is going to be equal to this length, the adjacent, opposite over adjacent. So we've got that right there. So then, since we're looking for an angle, we're going to use the inverse of tangent. And that's what we're going to put in our calculator. Second tangent, and then we're going to put in our ratio. And that's going to give us an angle of 42.18 degrees. So then the angle of elevation is about 42.18 degrees. Okay, that was the last one that I went over yesterday. So go ahead and get all of this in your notes. If you have any questions, please let me know. Again, these are examples of progressing. We'll do some meeting level questions tomorrow.